Well, hello. I'm not sure if this is recording because I've been having some problems with it, but hopefully we'll see. Okay, so I'm actually messing around with a transformer just for the purpose of making some sparks. I don't know, it seems fun. However, by default, the sparks are tiny, 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 which I'll show you in a second. Okay, so it's a whole bunch of wires actually on one side of the transformer. So you would normally get the mains in on this side, which for this country is 240 volts. For the UK, yeah, got quite a few different taps coming off of it. The ones I found with the most impact on the output, or should I say the primary, which then became the secondary. But anyway, whatever. By adding power to this side, nothing happens until you remove it, because then the change in the magnetic field is resisted by the coil and da 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 da. But at the same time, that's also transferred to the other coil, which comes out here. Normally, you would have this connected to the mains, and when it's oscillating with its sine wave backwards and forwards, you know, up and down, alternating, which is alternating current. As the magnetic field collapses, it cuts through, you know, collapses through the coil on the secondary side, and because they're not actually physically connected, they're not electronically connected, but they are magnetically connected, magnetically coupled, something like that. Therefore, the amount of turns of the coil on this side and the amount of turns on this side, the output or secondary, there's a ratio. And you have, if you have, say, let me see. So say if you had, say, I'm pulling a figure out my backside. I don't know if it's correct or accurate for this, but say you've got 1,000 turns on this side, and you've only got 500 turns this side. Well, the likelihood is you're going to get about half the voltage than that side, I believe, but you'll get twice the current or something like that. Likewise, if you're putting in, say, 240 in here, and you have, say, like 100 turns, but then on this side you had 1,000 turns, you kind of get an amplification of 10. So you would get, you know, you get like 2,000 volts out the other side, but the current would be less than what came in on the input, something like that. Anyway, I'm no expert at this. If you want to see really cool stuff, look up photonic induction on YouTube. Absolutely amazing guy with all of his cool videos and stuff. This is obviously not really much, not very dangerous. So anyway, what I'm going to do, which is inspired from one of his videos actually. I mean, I've never seen him play with a transformer this small. You know what I mean is, he rewound his transformer, but it was like massive. It's absolutely huge. So I'm going to play around with this. I started to peel it open, then I thought, I should probably make a YouTube video about this. So that's my plan. I'm going to peel it open and see if I can maybe rewind it with some wire. But again, I don't really know what I'm doing here, so I'm just kind of winging it. So, yeah, good luck to me, huh? Well, that's the shield popped off. It'll be easier now to see all the wires going into the turnings on the coil there. It looks like I can bend the tabs back and hopefully get inside, and hopefully not get covered in too much shite. Wish me luck. Well, I nearly gave up actually. I was seriously struggling to get these pieces apart. I'm not sure if you're aware of how these are constructed, but this piece is more like an E. Is it that piece? Yes. Yes, that piece is like an E. Actually, I think both sides are like E's, forgive me. Well, I could not seem to get it apart, and I was getting really agitated because I really wanted to do this and I couldn't do it. And then, thankfully, after some head scratching, I found a way to delaminate it. And I was just run a knife around the edge. So hopefully, after a bit of faffing around, I should be able to get this apart. And well, yeah, it should work. So as you can see, it's just overlapping layers. Anyway, well, I'm kind of hoping this records okay. So excuse the mess. So this is the first plate I had to mangle to get out, which made room then, which you may not be able to see, but there's a little bit of a gap through there, and that's because I'm taking these plates out. Now you notice it's in the E shape that I mentioned, and you have another piece that goes along the top to give that. Yeah? Okay. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. Now the first part was really difficult, and I guess that's because they must cram it in so tight, which is to be expected. But now that I've got a few off, all I have to do is just run my knife down there, really easy. You'll notice there's one with a different colour slightly. Again, that just needs a little bit of a run down with the knife. Again, just slide the knife down in the corner. As you can probably realise, because I'm trying to aim this with the camera, it's more awkward than it would be. But yeah, as long as you go all the way around, it becomes really easy to get them out, which is nice. Maybe this is a good time to see what it looks like when I video edit and do speed up. Oh yeah, you're exciting, I know. It's funny, I swore that I wouldn't do any editing, but I guess I will. Check out the camera angle, you can't really see, can you? I'm going to try from here in a second. Okay, well, lots of little plates later. That was actually really laborious and boring process, and I don't think I'd ever want to do that again. My poor knife, my poor cheap knife that flexes and bends and is a load of rubbish. Anyway, but it worked for this, so that's cool. So there's the coils for the primary and secondary in a nice little case. Pretty. Yeah, this sucked. I hope when if you decide to take a transformer apart, it's a lot easier than this. Then again, this may end up being fruitless and pointless and annoying and stuff. Therefore, no one will want to take one apart. But anyway, yeah, I'll update you in a mo. Hello again. So what I've created is that. So by rebuilding the transformer core, what I did was I actually took a piece like that and overlapped it like that, to create an 8 shape, and then I just kept overlapping, which then gave me that. As I say, I didn't bother putting those silly little strips in, so there is actually a few gaps along here, but yeah, so that's the next stage. So hopefully, I mean, it looks cool, feels cool, if you know what I mean. So and it's quite heavy. Yeah, I think that's going to be fun for some experiments. So I may not get the desired effect, but at least I've learned something, I hope. Alright, cool. Well, I've created, I've got a primary and a secondary. I thought I was really clever. I've run the coils in the same direction, I believe. I'll double check that later, but I'm pretty certain I have. Anyway, so, I've done one with many turns, and then another coil with less, considerably less turns. And yeah, maybe there's some specific magic that's, that I'm not aware of, but I get nice pretty sparks on this side. Whatever. Oh, did you see the smoke come out of that? Yeah, this wire gets pretty hot when it dumps the battery power into there, but I get nothing out of this end, well, nothing that I can feel. So I'm not really sure what to think about that. Maybe it's loads of current and not amps, or I'm just guessing, but let's have a look. Okay, so let's just adjust the tilting bell or whatever it's called. So I've set the multimeter to 200 volts DC, which is stupid because it should be AC. So I've set it to AC now. Yeah. Ooh, it does kind of work, I think. He did say 100 odd volts. Why didn't I feel it? I set it to 600 for a moment. How do you test something that's just pulses? Not sure. There's a question to the community. How are you supposed to measure that? Interesting. But I didn't feel it. I didn't get the desired thing. Oh. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit confused and at a bit of a loss. Well, I mean, I was like 2 millimeters apart. The core gets really, really hot too. Oh, yeah, I'm giving up with that now for now. I'll go in my little junk box and I'll resume at some point. Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed. I thought it was easier than that. Obviously, there's a lot more theory to this than meets the eye. Oh well, I'll upload this as an epic failure. Gosh, what a nightmare. Well, I mean, I think it's a failure. I mean, I've got no way to be sure on the output. I'm not sure at all. I could, generate a square wave at 50 hertz, I suppose, which then would give give us like an AC output, and then measure it then, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. If anyone has any ideas, I'd be really happy to hear them. Grr. Hiya. Hello. Please remember to subscribe, thumbs up, like, +1, whatever. And if you feel like it, comment. I realise Google Plus is a bit, so don't comment, I understand. But subscribe and like.